It's noon here in Ventnor City, New Jersey, and 9 a.m. in Sacramento, California, where it's time for news that you can use from CarEdge for Thursday, January 11th, with your host, me, Ray, representing the Montreal Jazz Festival, and, well, Justise, who, in case you didn't know, is not a chefska.
That's right. That's right. I am not a chefska. Just in case people got confused by that, thought I was your second son or something. You're much older than your first son.
Much, yeah.
Yeah.
Hell, my first son's only 28.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. Same age as my first son, by the way.
See, okay.
There you go.
But the difference is I'm 72.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I'm not there yet.
Justise, what the hell are we talking about today?
I think we're talking about inventory, and even more inventory, and some of the prices going down in December.
I think, yes, that inventory levels, from what I have been able to see, are at the highest point they've been in over 3 years. Prior to COVID, monthly new car inventories range somewhere between 3.4 million and 4 million new cars available in any given month for all the dealerships out there. At the worst, during the pandemic, that number fell to like 900,000 new units available on a monthly basis. So we had a quarter of the inventory that we normally would have.
And was that during the pandemic, or is that the part shortage? At what point did that happen?
That happened during the pandemic when the manufacturers canceled their chip orders because they didn't know how long everything was going to be closed down. And so the chip manufacturers found other takers for those production slots of chips. And when it turned out that, well, factories could open sooner rather than later and dealerships could reopen sooner rather than later, the manufacturers no longer had the wherewithal or the ability to buy the older style, less profitable chips that they needed for, the microchips that they needed for the cars. And the chip manufacturers were, well, I don't know, they were busy producing the higher profit chips. So they said, basically, in a nice way, the hell with you. We don't need you at the moment. And so that shortage of microchips, which occurred shortly after the pandemic started, is what triggered this dramatic decline in inventory. Well, it's been building back up. It's taken a while. Mm-hmm. Realistically, the manufacturers would like to keep the inventory at 2.4 million or less available on a monthly basis. Well, that number rose again at the end of December into January. It's up to 2.7 million. They're creeping ever so closer to what it had been pre-pandemic. And that is an issue for not only the manufacturers, but more importantly, the dealers, because of the cost of carrying that inventory today, as you will know.
And so Cox is saying that's a 71-day supply now?
Where during the height of the pandemic, it was what, a 25, 30-day supply? Yeah. So,
and what was remind me, what was the floor planning during the pandemic?
That was still let's see, interest rates. Yeah, interest rates were like next to nothing. Like, what could floor plan have cost? 1%, 1.5%. Oh, and if you didn't have any cars to floor plan, well, there was no expense. And the manufacturers, as part of the invoice process, the manufacturers reimburse dealers for some of the floor plan costs. It's called floor plan assistance. And during the pandemic, and Dan LaGrange spoke about it the other day when we had him on the show, during the pandemic, floor plan assistance actually became a profit center for dealerships because they didn't have any floor plan costs. There were no vehicles. The vehicles weren't sitting.
But
Now,
part of that makes up for the fact that there weren't any vehicles though for
yes,
them to, right? So because they
exactly.
also didn't have vehicles to sell, so they needed to offset some of that somewhere.
And if you're operating with a quarter of what your normal allocations would be, well, that created a shortage of cars. Demand was still high. Prices skyrocketed because, well, low supply, high demand. People would pay anything for cars. But now we're reverting back to normal, where we're starting to see excess inventories at some of the major brands. And the dealers are, well, getting upset because there's huge carrying costs to these inventories. If I remember correctly, in the third quarter, all your major public uh, dealership groups reported excessively high charges for floor plan costs. I think the Penske organization was like $232 million in floor plan costs for the quarter. That's a big number.
It is. And where do you suppose they get that money from to pay for that floor plan cost?
Well, it's not coming from the stockholders.
No.
It's coming from some bank out there. In many cases, it might be the captive lender. Because a lot of the manufacturers have their own finance arms, and they'll do the floor planning for the dealerships. But many dealers use like Bank One or a Bank of America or Chase. The banks are making some money on floor plan interests
Yeah.
again, and the dealers are writing big checks every month.
But I'm
And
just saying, where are the dealers getting the money to write those checks? Right?
well,
They're probably not discounting vehicles a lot to write those checks.
well, yeah, but they are starting to. You know better than most that they are starting to discount the vehicles in order to move the inventory, so that they don't have to have the carrying costs of that inventory. Many dealers have recognized that we're back to the old days. You want to turn it as quickly as you possibly can because the cost of carrying it is just way too high. Which means if you're going to take a poopy deal on a vehicle at some point in the month, you might as well take it the first day of the month. If you have, I think Dan LaGrange really explained it pretty well. If you have a customer that wants to buy a car, regardless of when he's there, whether it's the first of the month or the end of the month, figure out how to get him to buy the car. Do what
Yep.
you need to do price-wise to get him to say yes. And if it means it's poopy deal time on the 1st and poopy deal time on the 31st, it's like just name it poopy deal month. I don't care.
I would just like to clarify when you say that dealers are understanding that they got to move the metal.
Yes.
I just want to clarify that as dealers outside of Florida understand this.
Oh,
Every Florida deal I have looked at in the last 11 days has been just garbage. They just don't seem to be fully getting it. And, it's weird.
You know what would be interesting, and I don't know if we have the ability to get this information, but what would be interesting would be to see how sales are in Florida. Are they up? Are they down? Are they stagnant? Are new car sales and used car sales higher than where they had been? And if they are, and my suspicion is, this is just a suspicion, but my suspicion is that they're probably higher than where they had been, that they have still seen increases in sales. And
That's my guess too.
yeah, and if that's the case, and I'll bet the proverbial dollars to donuts. If that's the case, then it strictly falls entirely on the customers for agreeing to say yes. Okay. You've heard me say it. Everything is just an ask. An addendum label is just an ask. It's not a mandate. It's an ask. would you please be so kind as to overpay for this vehicle? Your option as a customer is to say, absolutely freaking not. Okay.
Well, yeah. So I talked to a member. We discussed it before the show, but he just bought a Nissan Kicks for his daughter
Okay.
down in Florida. He happens to live in Florida. The addendum label had $7,000 in markup on it. He got it for $2,200 below MSRP.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
like, they asked, but
Yes.
he just kind of went, no, I'm not going to do that. And if you want to sell me the car, this is what it's going to be. And it took him a couple days, but like he ended up walking out with a great deal and was like $7,000 over. No, but you know, there are dealers still out there asking. I know Mark in here asked, are dealers still doing, are the Asian brands doing ADM still? No, most dealers are way past that now.
And you and the team see on a daily basis more car deals and the structure of car deals than most dealerships see in a month. So you have a better idea as to what type of discounts dealers are willing to ultimately come up with in order to sell the vehicle. I mean, it must be it's still hard to get the deal, but it must be easier than it had been to get the deal, even though you have to work hard to get it. Am I accurate in that?
Yeah, yes, you can get the deal. Like you've said before, I've said before too. It's the asking price is one thing, the negotiated sales price is another. I have a lot of people who ask, you know, well, in my area, you know, prices aren't going down. Those, you know, but we see the trends.
Yes.
Asking prices aren't necessarily down.
No.
Sometimes they are. I do see dealers advertising some good discounts now, but overall, you know, asking prices may not be down in your area, but that's not the same thing as the negotiated sale price, which is down. And we have the data showing that it's down, right? What is it? Cox Automotive put this out today. You know, new vehicle prices down 2.4% year over year.
That's right there, you know, and that's real hard data. That is not just, hey, Ray, Zach, and Justice making numbers up. I mean, and yes, I get that dealers aren't necessarily advertising lower prices. Doesn't mean they won't accept a lower offer. It just you got to start somewhere. And you know, dealers have grown accustomed over the past 3 years to starting high.
Yeah, well, and
they started high.
Yeah,
they started high because customers were foolish enough to agree to it.
Well, exactly. So, and we see that in Florida. I think you were spot on in saying that the data is going to come out. I know I'll put Justin on this and see if he can get it, because he, you know, he has got all the fingers in the details there. But I'm guessing Florida will be higher because they're willing to pay.
Yes.
And it's kind of crazy sometimes that I see that they're willing to pay, or they accept those doc fees. I mean, you can't adjust the doc fee directly, but you know, I've seen what was the highest doc fee I saw was $3,400.
Oh my goodness.
I just went, why would you pay that? Why would you accept that? And you know, and they're like, well, these cars aren't negotiable. Well, yeah, but your $3,400 doc fee.
Yeah.
Come on now. Like you got to offset that somewhere.
Yeah, and if I may, I don't think Florida is an island. I'm pretty sure it's not an island. I'm pretty sure it's still connected to the continental United States, the lower 48. I'm pretty sure directly to their west is like Alabama, and then Mississippi and Louisiana, and directly to the north is like Georgia and South Carolina and North Carolina and, well, Tennessee. I mean, you know, let's pull out a map. You know, there is nothing that says you have, if you live in Florida, that you have to buy your car in Florida. You do not.
No, we get a lot of people, and I know this question came through in the comments. Is it better to buy out of Florida and ship in? Sometimes it is.
Yes.
Yeah, as Igor says, you know, you have people like Earl Stewart, though,
Yes.
So where, it's not every dealer in Florida, absolutely. And Earl's not the only one. There are other great dealers in Florida too. I don't want to put down every dealer in Florida.
Yeah.
There are some really good ones. But a lot of times, yeah, look, it is absolutely easy just to get it, and shipping from South Carolina to Florida is not that expensive to do. A lot You can also drive and pick it
Yeah.
up and drive back, and there's lots of options there. But with the between the dock fees and some of the addendums I still see in Florida, I have I have recommended that. Yeah.
I mean, I believe that the the lowest dock fee I've seen is like $8.99 in Florida. And you've seen
Well,
it as
Earl's $0.
yeah, but forgetting Earl.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, so there's, and I apologize, I don't remember the name of it. I have them up, but there's two other dealerships in Florida that also do no uh, dock fees, and I think all three of them are Toyota because they're trying to fight against Southeast Toyota's
Hmm.
add-ons that they do. So the dealers, a good dealer is like, okay, well, we're trying to fight against
And
that by doing no
and
dock fee.
there's that Ford dealer, what is it, Mullinax?
Yep, Mullinax Ford. Yep.
They don't charge a dock fee,
Nope.
but the vast majority of dealers in Florida charge the most outrageous dock fees I've ever seen. You said up to $3,400, and I think the average is right around 1,000. Well, just between
Well, so
you
you're
and
forgetting the electronic filing fee. The average is $1,200.
okay, so 1,200, and let's be realistic here. That's pure profit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there is no cost associated with that. That is pure unadulterated profit. So to pay an adjusted market price, okay, and then to add insult to injury and pay an overinflated dock fee, which is pure profit. If you can't find a dealer that's willing to work with you there, go out of state. Do
Yeah.
yourself the favor. Go out of state. I mean, we have a good friend of the channel who buys a lot of vehicles. God bless him. James loves his vehicles: Hyundais, Subarus, Kias. And he ain't buying most of them in Florida. I mean, his last few purchases they have been in Mississippi. Because he's not paying the outrageous dock fees. He's found dealers that are willing to work with them on price. So just remember, if in Florida, where the craziness still seems to be normal, shop elsewhere. Just shop. You can. You're allowed to. Interstate commerce is allowed, I believe.
It's in the Constitution. Yeah. Well, if I can have it, it's in there.
Yeah.
I personally am a free inhabitant. So sorry, I'm not going to go there. But yeah, I mean, look, since the pandemic, and I think the pandemic really did change a lot of that. How many deals during that time became online deals, where dealers started setting up the networks because people weren't coming in, and
Yes.
because you couldn't come in 6 feet and all that stuff. So that really changed a lot of the marketplace. I would say at least 50% of the deals I work are done remotely. Even when they're in the same town, they're done remotely. Like, people just don't want to go into the dealership at all. And a lot of dealers are just like, okay, that's fine. You just come to pick it up. We'll work everything out. They try to get you down in the first place, but you can fight back against that.
Listen, if you send an email to 10 of the same dealerships in your state or wherever, if you get 2 responses, hey, you're doing great, which is a sad commentary on the state of affairs at automobile dealerships. And if you get 1 of those 2 that respond, that actually answer your question, God bless you. Because most of them, if they do respond, is, when can you be here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And dealerships need to recognize that the buying public today really wants to perform as much of the buying aspects online as they possibly can, um, which is why we do what we do.
Yeah. And there are ways to send your email. Well, I describe this every day with people. There's ways to send your email to get better responses than a cold email. You know, so so you can get those. But even when you do that, there's a lot of, okay, well, when can you come in? We have dealers doing all kinds of tricks. Send me your driver's license and I can give you an OTD quote. What? For what? Why would
Yeah.
you? So you still got to fight those tactics and stuff, but isn't it better to fight it over email than in person
Um,
for a lot of people?
well, yes, because for some people, if they had to fight that in person, it might lead to fisticuffs.
Well,
Uh,
some people will just lay down too.
yeah,
People don't like confrontation. And that, hey, we exist because people don't like confrontation. If everyone was confrontational, they would just go out to the dealer and duke it out. We
yes,
exist because people don't want to look at it. I mean, people want our concierge service because they don't even want to do it via email. They just, people would rather just go, can somebody else handle that
yes,
for me, please? Because it's such a nightmare. And dealers, I don't know, they got to wake up to this. And I know you sent me the story. I didn't pull it up, but we have the dealers fighting now. Oh, I did pull it up. It's over here though. Fighting the FTC rules.
yes.
Right now, they're filing lawsuits to say no, no, no. You can't implement rules. Like what? What?
It is the National Automobile Dealers Association, NADA, has decided to file a lawsuit in the Fifth Circuit Court in Texas, trying to stop the implementation of the new FTC cars regulations, which are designed to force dealers to be more upfront with their pricing as to the real pricing is, and to require dealers to plainly make aware to the public the value of some of the add-ons, and if there is no value, to not add them on. Um, and it just it seems to me that the good dealers, and I know every time I say the good dealers, I see the comments. Oh, there are no good dealers. They're all dealerships. They're all just no. There are
No.
good dealers out there. There are dealers that understand um, proper business practices, how to help customers, how to care about your customers, how to take care. There are dealerships out there that do the right things.
Mm-hmm.
And those dealers, even though they might be a member of NADA, don't necessarily agree with NADA trying to relitigate this or get a stay on this, because the good dealers want to hold the bad dealers accountable.
Yep. So we talked to them both here and on the Auto Insiders podcast. We talk to some of the good dealers all the time, and this is what they say. We hear this constantly from them of like, no, these rules are fine. I already operate like this, so this isn't a problem for me. I wish all my competitors. Although we had was it Jason from Mullinex on the Auto Insiders who said, no, I hope my competitors keep doing the shenanigans because it helps my business.
Yes.
Because we don't operate like that. We don't operate anything like that. So I'll give them the number and tell them to go shop around. They always come back.
Most of the
Yeah.
time they will. The ones that won't come back are too embarrassed to come back.
Yeah.
They're too embarrassed to admit that, okay, you were playing fair, you were being open and honest, you were being transparent, and the other dealers weren't. And good dealers don't want bad dealers out there. Good dealers want the bad dealers to be held accountable. And rather than the NADA fighting it, they should be championing the changes, trying everything in their power to bring those who don't want it along into wanting it. It is past time for the automobile dealers out there to to get with the program, to understand that they can't survive without their customers, and it's cheaper and easier to maintain your customers if you treat them the way you would actually want to be treated. So some of these dealers need to be flogged. Some of these dealers need a wake up call.
I don't think they can do that anymore.
Some of these dealers need not to be dealers anymore. Where somebody comes in and buys the dealership and turns it around and does it the right way. But it's time for NADA to put down the fight, and rather than fight these rules and regulations that the FTC is going to implement, it's time to educate your dealers as to why it is in their benefit to do this, to go along with it. That's where NADA should be spending their money, not propagating the same BS that they've been propagating, I don't know, for 120 years now.
Yeah, and I will say that for all the ones in the comments who say there are no good dealers and all dealers are bad, and and you're wishful thinking that there are good dealers who want this kind of stuff. I just have to say, meet Igor.
Yeah.
He was dealer principal for a long time. I know he believes in the messages of the FTC and what we do. There are good dealers like Igor out there who've just always done business right. So there, we have one in our comments every single day that you can talk directly to. It is a good dealer who understands how these things work. There are people out there who want to see this go through. My fear is the NAD isn't trying to overturn this yet.
Yes.
They're trying to put a stay, which is a lot easier of a hurdle.
Yes.
So my fear is that they might get a stay. And I've seen stays last 3, 4, 5 years.
Yes.
Right.
And
so where do we go then?
And I don't understand it, because I don't know anybody in this country, other than a preteen, that hasn't tried to buy a car and hasn't had a tough time doing it.
Yeah.
This is not a secret. That there are bad apples out there, bad actors that are dealers, and it's just the opportune time to turn that around and finally accept that it should be customer driven. The whole concept should be, it's customer driven. How do we take care of our customers, as opposed to it should just be strictly profit driven, and how do we fatten our bank account? You can do both. They are not mutually exclusive. Okay.
Yeah.
They never have been. You take a dealer like Earl Stewart. Well, Earl's been a Toyota dealer in South Florida for what, 40 years, 50 years? I think he'll tell you he's been pretty successful. He's got a few bucks in the bank, and he's taking care of his customers. He does it the right way. He's living proof that it's not mutually exclusive.
No, he makes a good buck doing it too. Being nice and honest to the customers, getting repeat business. He's not poor. He's not sitting in the poorhouse over there. He's got a nice house and all the accoutrement to go with it by doing right by his customers.
Yes.
So what a crazy concept.
Yes. So it is doable. And I guess we should tie all this back into, the growing inventory, which will make it more doable for more people to get better deals somewhere other than Florida, apparently. Because dealers are sitting on inventory. Now obviously that's not all brands.
Yeah.
Toyota, Kia, Honda, they've got shortages. They still have much less day supply than a lot of the other brands. But you look at Ford and
But
Jeep and Ram, they got 3 times the amount of day supply as everybody else.
and part of that is production, part of that is Toyota, Honda, Kia, certainly are selling a lot faster and better than, say, Ford is. Although the F-150, or sorry, the F Series
Yes,
is the number one vehicle. You have to include the whole series for that, but
yes,
number one vehicle sold in America. But but as a company, they're nowhere close to Toyota, Honda, and of course, we'll probably discuss this tomorrow on tomorrow's show, how Kia Hyundai are just exploding in their
yes,
sales. I have
yes,
thoughts on that as well.
yes. No,
But it's crazy on the amount of sales and how well some of these brands are doing. And what I think is odd is, if I asked you, Ray, what are the least negotiable mainstream brands out there, you will tell me what?
I would tell you Toyota, Honda, Kia, and yet I bet you they're more negotiable today
Yes.
than they had been 18 months ago or 12
Oh,
months ago.
yeah. Well, yeah. 18 months ago, there were still some markups on them.
Yes.
24 months ago, there's markups on all of them. Right. I mean, so certainly you can get some, they're more negotiable now. Are you getting a RAV4 under MSRP? Barely, if you do. But, are you getting a 4Runner? Yeah, you're getting a nice discount on a 4Runner that you weren't necessarily getting 18 months ago. So,
Well,
yeah, even those big brands. Before we hop off, Ray, I just
yeah.
want to answer one question, which is, what about Roseville Toyota? Are they ever going to lower prices? No. Nope, they're not. They're not. Just,
Where are they? Are they in Roseville?
yeah, that's my old dealership.
Oh, okay.
They got bought out by Lithia.
Oh, okay.
But I still know people who work there. Nope, they're just not. If you want a Mirai, get an amazing deal on a Mirai. Of course, Shell has shut down all the hydrogen stations in California, so you can no longer get from, say, Sacramento to Los Angeles. You can't get there because there's not enough fuel.
You may never be able to refuel it after you buy it. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
But you can get a great deal on one. But otherwise, no. They're known for their not negotiating tactics. And then last one, and you don't know about this one yet. I gotta pull it up here yet. Sorry.
There's lots of things I don't know about.
Yeah,
although I am insanely opinionated, even on things I really don't know about.
But this one just came through from Justin here on the team.
Okay.
And here we had a list of, or there is a list of the fastest growing automotive digital brands in 2023.
Okay.
And I believe if you look at number one, who's that up there at number one?
Holy cannoli! That would be CarEdge. That would be us.
That's right. The fastest growing digital brand, automotive digital brand in 2023.
And not by a little bit.
No, not even close. It's really, truly not close. So, and that's thank you to all the members, all the people here who tune in and then come through and visit the site. I know it makes me feel really good to know that everything that we're doing, all the efforts that we put in, people appreciate. They're coming in, they're visiting, they're looking at things, they're learning how to navigate this world. And we just sure do appreciate that.
Well, congratulations to you and the team on such an amazing accomplishment. And we realized a long time ago we'd never be all things to all people. There are some people out there that, regardless of what we do and how we do it, they're just not going to like us. and that's okay. For those of you who do like us, who do find value in what we do and what we bring, and God bless you. Thanks for being a part of all this. And my pledge, and I don't know that I'm speaking for my son when I say this, is my pledge is that we will continue to be as transparent as we can possibly be. We'll be as upfront as we can possibly be. We will share things that probably no other organization will share, because we want you to know how and why this all works. So that's my pledge. I don't know about the rest of the team. Zach might shoot me an email after this. We'll find out. Uh, he might reprimand me on Saturday night's live show.
Well, I think we can say that we're clearly doing something right, and we try every day. Zach tries harder than anyone I've ever known. You did a good job there, Ray. So I'm happy to be part of this, and I just saw that, and I was very happy that we seem to be resonating with people, and hopefully that turns into a larger and larger change for this industry.
Well, that's the ultimate goal, is to bring the industry into the 21st century, kicking and screaming if we must, but bring them into the 21st century and make it a much more pleasant experience for people to be able to buy and sell their automobiles. And if ultimately that means it puts us out of business, well, I can't think of a better way to go.
Yeah. Oh, a day where people don't need us anymore would be a good day in the industry.
Absolutely.
I don't see that happening in my lifetime. But,
or mine,
hey,
or Zach's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if it can, what a great way to go out by fixing a broken industry. That would be a great way to go. Absolutely.
Well, we will be back here again tomorrow at noon Eastern, 9 Pacific time, Justice and I. And then at 12:45 tomorrow, CarEdge Electric makes a return to the airwaves. Justice and I will be back for that tomorrow as well. And there is some interesting news in EV world that we will be covering tomorrow for sure.
Yeah, we've been gone for 6 weeks, right? I feel like there may have been some stuff built up during that 6 weeks that we can talk
Perhaps.
about. I am very excited to be coming back on the electric show, to be bringing it back. So looking forward to that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for being here today. We will see you back here again tomorrow.